Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. James here, as ever, for today's ACCA PM video, where we're going to go into a focus on Section C, how to pass your examination, and we have a top tutor who's joining us today, who's going to walk and talk us through everything you need to know to help you through specifically Section C in your examination. So, Joe, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Jo Tuffle and I'm a PM tutor for ACCA. I work with FME on Learn Online. So I love PM, not quite as much as FM, but I do love PM too. PM is a great subject for accountants who want to be commercial accountants. All those techniques that you're learning in your PA exam can be used in business to be a business partner. So it's a really important exam, even if you don't like it, because it's difficult, and we all know that's quite difficult. Those techniques are used. I have used them. Not all of them, but I've used them. And I think it really enables you to help and be a business partner to the non-financial management of your business. So don't discount it because you're finding it hard. It is enjoyable in the workplace, promise.
Exactly. So if we're going to kick us off, Joe, for Section C, overall, where do you want to begin? Do you want to go syllabus areas? What we're thinking?
I'm going to go syllabus areas because, oh my goodness, everything comes up, doesn't it, in Section C? It's really not predictable. And I'm sorry about that. And that's because PM hasn't got big syllabus areas. It's got lots of small areas which are primed up for a whole question. It's a topic-based exam. It's not a big syllabus-based exam. So in Section C, I think there's 15 topic areas, and Section C can have 12 of them. Okay. And within those 12, there's also variants within them. But what you can be guaranteed of, James, right? And it's from the examiner's mouth. It's from the mouth of the examining team. They said, this is a performance evaluation exam. You will get a performance evaluation question in Section C. So there is certainty that you will get either a divisional performance question, which unfortunately includes transfer pricing, which nobody likes.
It'll be fine. Or, bit more practice on that one.
Bit more practice, I think. Yeah. I've got a great YouTube video on it, so go and look at it on my channel. The other one is non-financial indicators, financial indicators of a profit company or a not-for-profit company. 3 E's, value for money, not-for-profit, or the good old building blocks model, which nobody really looks at, but it can come up, or the balance scorecard. Those are kind of the performance evaluation, and there's a really key technique that you need to do well in those questions, especially if you get a 20 marker and it goes 20 marks. Do a performance evaluation using financial and non-financial information. That is like, oh, isn't it?
Make or break.
Marks. Yeah. So there's a key technique for that. But as I was saying, it's guaranteed that you will get that. So you really need to know that technique. Otherwise, that's not going to work, is it, for your exam?
Exactly. And the technique, Joe, what we're thinking of there, because there'll be people asking me going, James, what's the technique?
Well, so the technique is to calculate for half a mark. So often there are 5 marks, maybe, minimum of 4 marks, maximum 7 marks for going for calculations. And you've got to think half a mark per pair of calculations, or 1 mark if you have to do 3 similar calculations. Yeah. You have to make it relative. So you can't just do an absolute change. You have to do a percentage change, or you have to calculate something from something else. So the number of customers, the number of revenue per customer, something like that. Occupancy of an aircraft, things that, do something with the ratio that's adding value, not just taking an absolute figure and minusing it. Calculating a gross margin, so it's really important that you do a value added calculation, so to give it relevance. Okay. So the calculation mark is half a mark. Right, and then there's one more mark in the narrative. And so the one more mark in the narrative comes from the why, not the what. Okay. You
Okay.
say the what, it's 0 because you've already got the half mark for the ratio. So if I just give you an example, they did a recent question called Flag Company, and students would calculate and just the occupancy rate of an aircraft, and they'd say,
Hmm.
right, okay, it was 95% for the budget aircraft and
Hmm.
66% for the premium aircraft, right? And then they would just write, oh, obviously occupancy rates are higher for the budget, and they think that's going to get a mark. No, you've got the half mark. That's the what is happening.
Yeah.
Why is it? And they think they've answered it because it says budget, but they don't. That's the name of the aircraft. It's not
Mm.
the name. It's not the why. The
Mm.
why is it's a low cost airline. Yeah. So they're selling for high volume. They're going for high volume at low cost. So therefore, the other airline is not so much bothered about the higher occupancy rates because
Hmm.
they're selling at premium price.
Yeah.
And so that will actually get you more than one mark because you've made some reasoning and you've done so that's a 2 marker, but you can't stop at one is higher than the other because that's not giving any performance evaluation added value.
Exactly, yeah,
So
and the detail there, the specifics, and exactly what you're saying. You're saying your why, you're explaining it, and what it means for the business, like you would do in a real
yeah,
workplace.
it's so disheartening to see a student do a lovely calculation. I'll give them a lovely half mark for it, and then they just repeat that calculation by saying turnover has gone up by 10%. And they think they're going to get half a mark for that. No, they've already got the half mark. The what is happening is a setup for the why.
Mm.
So it's gone up by 10% because due to the scenario tells me why, because customer volume's gone up. They've won 10% more customers, therefore that's related to turnover.
Exactly.
And if you just got to sit down and go, am I
Mm.
saying why? If I'm not saying why, write because at the end of it and go, because.
Yeah, exactly. And just refer back to the scenario, maybe what
Yeah,
type of products or
yeah,
services are being
yeah,
used. All these
mm,
little things will help you out
yeah.
to get that. And we know how tough it is to score marks in the PM exam. I mean, what the pass rate, is it still floating around 40%?
40%. Oh, it's really low. There's a couple of reasons for that, and it's because it's not predictable.
Hmm.
It's often the first exam that they take after the law, after the MA and
Hmm.
FA, etc. And it's a step up, applied skills on the CB platform. It's a sessional exam, it's a step up. There's the time management issues which go with it. And there's just it's this sheer volume of what could come up, and
Mm.
perhaps you haven't covered it because you're trying to question spot.
Mm.
Question spotting is not allowed in Joe Tuffle's world.
Especially the section C on there. But what are the
No.
sort of common areas that students who you help for PM tend to really just throw away marks? Is it, we talked about time management. I mean, do you recommend for students to do section C last in the exam or in the middle? What are your best bits of
Uh,
advice on that?
my advice is always to do it in the middle. Because I feel that, you're more settled in the middle, and you're never going to run out of time in the middle. Because again, section C needs to be good to pass the paper because obviously the MCQs can be unpredictable. You could
Mm.
fall for distractors, even if you're the best student in the world, you could just fall for them. And so it's annoying, but you can't fall for distractors really in section C if you give it the time and the effort and so put it in the middle, don't run out of time because that's potentially where the exam is passed and you've got the easier marks to get.
Yeah, definitely on
Um,
there.
I think students struggle with PM because of the unpredictability of it. And
Mm.
unfortunately, we can give you a little bit of predictability in that you are going to get a performance evaluation question. But the other section C question comes from the rest of those syllabus areas. So there's about
Mm.
9 of them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty hard. And so you do have to practice each of those syllabus areas. There will be a past question on each of those. They might not be on the CVE platform though, because there's only a certain amount on there. So you are going to have to resort to going to a kit that is done by a provider which is approved.
Exactly on that. And it's just, I'm afraid the bottom line for Section C questions is do it 2 times on the CBE platform as well, as if you're in the real examination. So you get used to how you're going to format a variance question. And then when it gets onto the discursive elements, just saying like, what are the key words? Who are the key individuals? All these sort of things you need to have in your arsenal going into the PM exam.
Yeah, so with variance questions, I'm not, I don't want to just dwell on one topic, because as I said, it could be a cost volume profit, it could be limiting factors, it could be risk and uncertainty, it could be budgeting, going on and on. But variance questions, and if you think about that, it's just one topic area, advanced variances, but 5 things can come up. 5. Material price and usage, ops and planning, labor usage, labor and efficiency. You could get yield and mix on materials. You can get sales volume variances, market size, market share, and you can get mix and quantity on sales volume and sales price. Oh my goodness, it's just a whole raft. And the best way to deal with that, as you intimated, is put formats into the practice platform and get used to laying it out. And you'll always then use the same layout in the exam. And then all you need to do is find the lovely information to pop into each of those variances. So you would define sales price, you would define standard price, and you would define actual volume for the sales price variance. So, and then if you're getting the figures in those definition cells wrong, and then you calculate the variances from them, that marker can see you've got it wrong there, but the variance is right. So the follow-through mark to favourable and adverse or whatever will be given to you.
Yeah, exactly. And absolutely spot on. Picking up on those working marks, the carried forward marks, the own figure marks. I've even read in some of the examiners' reports, because obviously my Friday nights are just full of entertainment, that some students put everything in one box on there, or they try and cram everything in. And they're going line by line, just methodically, remember it's marked by a person. So I always got taught, imagine you actually had to mark this script. Is it actually clear enough to say, here's the answer, here's how I got it, tell the story how you got there?
So, when you're doing something for somebody in the workplace and you were calculating the price variance, say, or the sales volume variance, you would want them to see the figures that you were using. So when they say, well, why is it adverse? And we say, oh, look, you can see the budgeted sales is much lower or much higher than the actual sales. And therefore, the marker needs to see that which one is the budgeted sales and which one is the actual sales. But if you get that wrong or you transpose it wrong and it's all in a cell, they're just going to mark it 0 because they can't see where you've gone wrong. They may give you the full mark because they'll see you've just put a 0 in wrong or something, because that's life, isn't it? But it's not an error of what do you call it?
Not knowledge on there, maybe.
No, it's not. Yeah, technique.
Technique
error.
on there. Yeah,
it's not an error. Oh yeah, there's a really big long word for it, and I've forgotten it.
Don't worry, Joe. We won't need to worry ourselves on that. That'll be. I'm gonna give you a half mark for trying though, so that's okay on there.
Yeah.
But
no.
Are there any other
Absolutely.
key elements that are fundamental that a PM student who's writing down all these key tips we've talked about today needs to know before their exam and could get them that 50 plus? What couldn't you sleep tonight if you didn't get it on record?
Stick to time. Honestly, the amount of students which say they ran out of time and therefore they're throwing away those easy marks. There are so many easy marks in the PM paper, but people focus on all the harder marks and spending time on ones which they're not going to get the answers for. So I say flag and move on. Guess, flag, move on. And then if you have time at the end to go back to those harder marks, then you're not throwing away those easy marks which you've run out of time for. So that's the most important thing in the PM exam, because we cannot predict what's going to be given to you. You've got to be time wise brilliant. You've got to be so hot on it. Because there's 50 marks you can get. It's just the students are failing because they're spending time on the ones which, you know, there are some questions which for 2 marks, you could spend 8 minutes trying to get the calculation for. Stop. Don't. Leave it to the end by all means. But don't waste time doing that. And you slip of the calculator and you may have got it wrong.
Yeah.
So it's so annoying, so annoying. So and the one more thing, I have to say this.
Go for it,
Do
Joe.
not question spot. Do not question spot. Because you also have to bet the topics that you hate will come up. Absolutely bet that they will come up. So you do them, and if they come up, you've done them, you're happy.
Yeah.
If they don't come up, you're even happier.
Yeah, exactly. And also, as well as that even if the ones you don't like don't come up in section C, there may just be even sort of sprinkles of those topic areas in sections A and B. And if you don't do it, you go, well, you might as well have a bin at the front of your exam paper because you're just throwing away marks because you won't know what it's going on about.
No. Yeah, it's so important also for section C to get yourself formats for each of those calculations so that you can just literally go, right, I know what I'm doing. Things like, you know, the payoff table for risk and uncertainty. There's a process of doing that. And again, there's a brilliant YouTube video on risk and uncertainty on my channel.
I'll pop it. I'll pop it down below, Joe, in the description on there, along with all of your details, because I've thoroughly enjoyed today's chat going through it. I'm sure the students who have been watching it are there going, I used to do all this wrong, but now my next attempt is going to be fantastic. But thank you so much for all of your insights today, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always been fun.
Good stuff. That's all right. As I said, guys, make sure you check out Joe's details. I'll put them all down below, and also where you can find all the free PM resources. If you want to check out all of our other videos we've done, make sure you subscribe and hit the button below. And of course, make sure you give a like on this video so that it can help out more PM students understand, shall we say, Joe, the uncertainty of what could come up on their section C in the exam.
The problem with PM.
It'll be fine. But as ever, more question practice to time. And as you said, make sure you do the full 100 marks in the examination. So you'll be leaving us a comment below saying, James, I followed your video with Joe. Really nice, good chit chat. And I got 50+ on it. So leave the comment below how you get on, and we'll see you next time in another video. Thank you very much, Joe, again.
Yeah, bye.
Cheers.